Hello vegan adventurers, welcome to another exciting vlog from Tenerife. Today we're gonna be hiking mountains near Las Vegas. It's not the famous Las Vegas in USA, but there is a small village Las Vegas in Tenerife from where our hike will start, and it will be epic. So let's get into the vlog. We just went for a little walk with my mom to explore the beaches on the left from El Medano. We also explored the town a little bit. Alright, so we already arrived to the village called Las Vegas, as I mentioned before, and we parked our rented car here. We want to do a little hiking loop around hill called Las Vegas Circular. So there's also, these spots are also marked, and we also have a GPS from Maps.me, so it should be fun. So let's get started in hiking Las Vegas. In few minutes of following the road, we got to this water channel, and after that there was this water reservoir, but there was not much water. So I guess when there is more rain, they collect the water. So now I guess they use the water from the stream straight away for agriculture and human use. And there's also one of the biggest aqua parks in the world here in Tenerife. They must take a lot of water too, but I don't understand how is it possible in such a dry conditions here. So we started following the path along these man-made water canals. Luckily there are not many fences or private properties like you would see in South America or even Mallorca. We see these cliffs in the distance, which must be good for rock climbing. And the environment around was quite dry and rocky, not very good for any agriculture. But we noticed here some terraces that may be used for growing some plants, because a straight area holds more water than if you have a downhill, and especially a rocky downhill, all the water just goes down the slope. So on one hand they have a nice stable temperatures here, but the soil is not very good quality and also doesn't rain much here. Here we spotted this red cactus fruit, and I wanted to see if it's ripe. I saw cactus fruit many times in Asian shops before, and I even tried them, but didn't really find them any appetizing. And this one was no different. There was not much sweetness. I would definitely not recommend buying it, and plus it had a lot of little spikes that you couldn't even see, that I had all over my mouth, and I had to pick them out. So if you're ever gonna try cactus fruit, don't try them straight from the cactus, but maybe buy them in the shop and see if you like them. But for me it didn't taste sweet at all. After about 20 minutes the trail disappeared, and the only way to go forward was to walk on this canal. And some parts were pretty tricky to cross because the canal was pretty high, so if you drop like 3 meters, plus there are branches in your way, so you had to be really careful. It just took us a lot of time, but we're already a long way in, so we didn't want to turn back. And luckily the high canal was going only for a short way, so we could walk normally on the path again. After we left the stream canal, we couldn't really see the path and we were just following the GPS. So it seems like this path was not used for a long time. And here in the distance you can see the El Medano town where we have accommodation with that typical hill over there. And as you can see, every day is cloudy here, but that's perfect for hiking, but not so good for sea activities like swimming or snorkeling, for which it was pretty cold. So we decided to take a shortcut through the woods and through this little steep terrain until we connected to another trail that seemed to be bigger and more used than the previous one. As you can see, this trail is clearly visible and also marked with these yellow-white marks. And here is a table that talks about the water wheels for grinding the grains, how they're using the water sustainably, which is far from what people are doing today, with animal agriculture being the single biggest consumer of the water. And even people at homes are incredibly wasting the water. Imagine all the water from showers, washing dishes and toilet. People use non-toxic and organic shampoos, detergents and soaps. The water could be reused for fertilizing and irrigating the fields for plants. Alright, we're having lunch, 3 o'clock 10 minutes. What are we having?
Hamburger.
No, lentil burger. All vegan. All vegan, nobody will not be.
My body won't be a pump for other creatures.
Oh, I thought it says nobody gets hurt. Okay. Okay, it's 3:30, we just finished lunch. I'm gonna continue on this path here and we'll see. Well, now there is a nice oak tree woods and it's pretty dry environment. I don't think it rains much here, but it's pretty cold as well. Must be like around 15 degrees or less. So definitely, if you come to Canary Islands and you want to hike, make sure you bring long sleeves because it gets really cold. Not like really cold, but for long sleeves definitely. On Teide it's what, -6 snow, so for that you need like a proper mountain equipment. And as we're descending down more to the valley where there's more water, we saw these beautiful flowers that I haven't seen anywhere else before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And here we had some fun with playing a natural baseball with a stick and a pine cone. Željko seemed to be a good baseball player, but Sanja needs to train a little bit more. This is the route we follow, up there where we had lunch, and then we descended down there to the valley and up here again. When I looked here in the distance, we saw some tunnels, but I'm not sure what they're used for. Maybe for storing some grains or vegetables. And here we got to another water canal, but this time there was no water running through. So I guess these water canals were used a longer time ago as a water transportation, but now they're using things like these tubes over here. And I think taking water in the tubes is more efficient for people, but it's not really good for environment because it stays more dry here and the trees cannot survive. Whereas if there are streams running through, it would go also in the soil and trees would have more chance to survive the drier periods. And here you can see again the view of the coastline. There is the industrial area, and after you have more towns along the coastline. And here we got to a crossroad. The road on the right seems to be going down to some other town, and here is a sign that you can't go here with a motorbike, horse, or even a bicycle, which is pretty strange. And here in the front we see higher hills, and there seems to be more clouds, which means more rain and also higher trees, more forests. So here my phone ran out of battery, so I had to use Sanja's phone, so you can see a little bit difference. And I think the iPhone has much better quality than Samsung. But on the other hand, iPhone is not compatible with usual laptops and doesn't want to copy all the files. So now we're recording with a Canon G7X. So you see the path is really nice here and really visible because they put the rocks on the side. And you can also notice there is a lot more trees here because it rains much more up here than down near the coast. And I think the environment changes even more if you go even higher, like to the El Teide area, where you can even see different kinds of trees. So now you can see there is more and more forest in the distance and more greenery, and the path is getting steeper as well. But it's nicely visible and marked, so Tenerife, a good job for making these hiking routes here. got to some tables saying that there should be some tree here, Pino del Rayo, but I don't see any special tree around here. But I see some marks of fire, like some burned down things. So maybe there used to be some big tree over here, but maybe there was a fire and it all burned down, which is quite possible in this dry environment. And you can see here there are some marks from the fire as well. And here was another interesting flower that looked like a dandelion, but was much bigger than your typical dandelion. And here we got to this really big oak tree that looked at least 50 years old, if not 100 years old. So imagine that all the trees should be this height, but it's because of humans and not enough rain, the trees are getting smaller and smaller. So it's insane that people don't understand the importance of trees, how they can help to retain water and help to clean the air. They have no problem cutting big trees like these down, but what do you expect when people still kill animals in 21st century? In few minutes we got to another crossroads. You can see Las Vegas, where we came from, is 4 kilometers. But we have time to go a little bit more and find another way around. So here you can see we're getting closer to the clouds and to the fog. So hopefully we're not gonna get rained on like yesterday at Musca Mountains. And here we got to the area with the terraces. They're used as gardens. So long time ago, before mainstream tourism arrived to Tenerife, people just lived self-sustainably from agriculture and what they could grow. And lots of water probably stayed here for irrigating these fields. And also I think this environment was much more lush than you see right now with this drier environment. And most of the water now it's transported down to the resorts for pools, human consumption and growing bananas and other crops. And also for the biggest aqua park in Europe, which is here in Tenerife. Must be a lot of water spent on that, so no wonder all this environment is dried. And I think long term this is not sustainable, and taking water straight to the resorts and down to the coast is just gonna leave this area more and more drier, which is gonna result in less underground waters, and the water will be more expensive and more chemicals added. So I think more trees should be planted in this area, and the water should be circulating here as well, not just taken down to the coast. Here you can see there is more foggy here and more uphill, so I think in that area it's more rain and even more lush than here. Okay, so we decided to get up to this little hill called Montaña de Stames, which was just 200 meters away from the main road. So we should see some better view hopefully from there. Let's check it out. Okay, so here we are on top of Montaña de Tames, which took only a few minutes from that crossroad, and there's not really an epic view because of the trees and the clouds, but it's still a nice place. You have this pole over here, and it could be also a good place for camping pretty much anywhere in these woods, as you have a lot of space. And here I got up on this pole, which was pretty narrow and quite high, so it's a great practice for the balance, and especially if you start looking somewhere else and not pay attention, it's easy to lose the balance and your head kind of starts spinning around. It's a weird feeling. So these hiking routes keep going for a long way, all the way to the north. So that's why these trails are popular for trail runners all over the world. There's even some world championships here. And here we got to the crossroad, so straight you would keep going to more hills and other trails connections, but we're gonna keep here on the left to the Risco El Muerto, and from there we can connect back to the Las Vegas village, so we'll kind of do the loop. I see on the map there is the whole net of trails, so that's why it's popular for trail runners, because you have just like so many trails here, and also for long distance hiking and camping it must be really good. So I will definitely come back here in the future and do some multiple day hike with camping also, as the night temperatures don't really go under 15 degrees, so it's pretty comfortable as well. Plus these trails are not really crowded. We haven't met many people today, but I guess when you go more to El Teide National Park there is more people and probably some more restrictions for camping as well. Now it's already over 5 o'clock and we just descended from up there through this valley. So when I look on the GPS, the path was going somewhere up there on that hill, and then we descended somewhere there on the left through that valley. So it's really nice environment here. But they don't have many animals here. They have some birds, but there's not many mammals like deer, because people probably hunted them out for food. We even didn't see any wild goats here. And here you can see that hill that we've been on top, Montaña de Tames, and you can see it's already in a fog, and then we continue down from there around. So as I said, there is a lot of space in these woods. There is not many bushes growing, so you can camp pretty much anywhere, even in a bivouac. You don't need a tent, but there is also a problem with rocks, so this area is pretty rocky, so you need more cushioning, like inflatable mattress or something like that. And here we got to another crossroad, so Risco del Muerto is another 200 meters, and there is some place called Era del Aserradero, 400 meters, but we don't have time to go there. We already did 1.6 kilometers since the Montaña de Tames. And here we got to these cliffs, and there was a tree growing just on the cliff, so it's interesting how the nature can make its way through, and just pretty much trees can grow anywhere, even on steep cliff like this. Really incredible. And these cliffs also seem really good for rock climbing, but we have still a long way to go and not much time, so I don't wanna hurry and hurt myself, so I'm just gonna look around here and we keep going. Here I found like a little cave or shelter. You can see the rocks are put by humans here, so maybe it's used for camping spot or maybe a shelter for some wild animals here like goats. Here you can see the marker. We did 6.6 kilometers through Pino Elguire, which was the big tree. And here on the right, the path keeps going to Los Escoriales, which is more mountains and hills there. And as you're going down on the left, you can see more higher cliffs. And I think on top there is the lookout that we saw before, that was 400 meters away from that crossroad. Hello. Whoa. So here we got to another crossroad. So Risco del Muerto is on the left, which means the risk of death, and it's a climbing zone, so there must be lots of climbing on these cliffs over here. So if you're into rock climbing, you know where to go. I want to get more into rock climbing this year and learn it properly, so we don't have to get a guide every time we go rock climbing. So you can see this environment looks like some botanical garden. You have lots of plants, lots of flowers. Some of them are even endemic to this place. They don't grow anywhere else in the world. Because this environment has stable temperatures, it never gets too hot or too cold, and it never rains too much. So it's really specific climate for these plants here.
I'm
And now as we're getting more down, you can notice there is no more bigger trees, but it's replaced by shrubs and smaller plants. And now it looks more green because there is more rain, but usually it's only the shrubs here, there's not much grass. And here we got to another crossroad, so we have 3.9 kilometers back to Las Vegas village. And here on the left is again another access to Risco del Muerto, which is that climbing site, and you can definitely climb up maybe all the way to the top. And this one actually looks pretty high, so you would need quite a long time to get up there, but it must be a really good adventure.
Never stress a thing, and we gon' go another day when we don't disagree. And when the sun's shining, regardless if you do believe, hey, still awake in the morning when I see your face. Need you more when you go, I need you more every day. Keep a foot on the brake in case I lose all control. Yeah.
So I was surprised both yesterday at Masca Mountains and today how fast Jaco can hike. So I know he's not really into fitness or especially hiking, but he's keeping up a really good pace with us. And I think this hike was over 11 kilometers, which is quite a long distance. Now you see we are kind of walking in a valley between cliffs on the right and left side too. And now you see as we're going more down, the area becomes more drier and the plants like cactuses become more prevalent. And as you go even more down to the coast, there is even less plants and it's more like a desert. So in the past, I believe there used to be a much bigger river flowing through this valley. That's how these cliffs were formed. But now, as I said before, with tourism and animal agriculture, all the water is diverted for human use. And actually here we are walking on the bottom of the valley. So this used to be a river here a long time ago. I believe with the right approach of treating the water and putting it back into nature with not using chemicals, we can create a nice environment and plant more fruit trees here instead of these shrubs and cactuses. And now looking down, you can see how deep this canyon is. So you can imagine how big the river must have been flowing through here for thousands and thousands of years. And there's actually a path going somewhere down there. So these cliffs were super gnarly and steep, but it would have been pretty dangerous to try to get down this way. I would not do it without a rope, it's just too risky. And here we saw some shelter from shrubs and also a little cave. I think some animal was living here. Here you can see more greenery like grasses because it was raining more, but I think during the dry season there is no grass here. And here we saw some lost balloon on a tree. And here you can see more and more cactuses, so there is no way you would cross from here on the right or left, so you're pretty much stuck to go on the road. So it's totally different than from those woods up there. The Masca Mountains yesterday had different plants as well, different climates, so you see there are many different microclimates just in this little island. And here we see another crossroad that's connecting to another trail somewhere up there on that other hill. So I'm surprised by the amount of trails that are here. So I thought that hiking here in Tenerife is not so good considering the experience from Masca yesterday. But here it seems like there is a lot of trails, and I think it must be even more in the El Teide National Park. And here we got to another crossroad, so if you keep going with this path on the left, you would connect to that path that we started at the beginning from Las Vegas. And it's called Molino del Agua, and the path seems pretty good as well. And here we came from Risco del Muerto, 1.7 kilometers, and to Las Vegas we have 2.2 more kilometers. And here is that cave that we saw at the beginning, but it seems like the entrance is blocked with some rocks, so I'm not sure if you can get in there. And here you can see where we came from, that hill in the middle, that's a little bit in the fog. And then we follow the path down the valley, and from here we can't really see the cliffs from the hills. Here you see that the cliffs keep going quite a long way, all the way almost down to the village. So there must have been a lot of water flowing through this valley before. So here you can see how we went before. We went around this water reservoir and up there through the valley until those hills at the right, and then we went around until back here. So it was a nice hike. It took around 5 hours and we did, I think, around 11 kilometers. So it was a pretty easy hike, not too much elevation for Željko, who is not used to hiking, but I was surprised that he kept up pretty good pace both yesterday and today. And I would definitely recommend this hike to anybody who has accommodation near the coast and just want to go for a quick hike and don't want to drive car for hours to get to Teide National Park, because here you can have a nice nature as well. Okay, so here we are back where we started. So we started this water canal here and we followed this road up here. So So as I said before, there are
That
lots
could
of
be, yeah.
options here. You have many more routes
Maybe
here, so you
they
can
put
be
some chemicals
hiking or trail
After that,
running
it
here
comes down.
for days, or even do a multi-day hike with camping here. You need a winter
So,
sleeping
how
bag
was the
because
hike?
the temperatures
Did you go
at
here
night
again, camping?
just go around 15 degrees unless you go to El Teide. The trails are completely for free,
Was
so you don't have
different
to pay
plants,
for
different
entrance here.
environment.
There are lots of different
really nice
plants,
smell as well.
cactuses, shrubs with lots of good smell
So-
when you come here. And I will definitely plan to come back here and maybe do a through hike, maybe like 2 or 3 days, and connect from south to north or something like that. Okay, we're already in the car leaving the Las Vegas village, and I highly recommend to rent a car here in Tenerife because you'll save lots of money. The rent a car is only about 15 euros per day. That's at least what we got. And if you took a taxi, it would cost you at least twice more, if not 3 times, even with Uber. Concerning the environment, it's not practical to only ride a bicycle like we did in Thailand. You would not experience many things. So hopefully electric cars and renewable energy becomes much more available. Same as veganic farming, where they don't have to kill insects with pesticides. So veganism is not about being perfect, it's about doing the best you can. Notice how the environment changed as we descended more down towards the coast. So there is no more higher trees, there is only a little shrubs and cactuses. So it's more like a desert here because it doesn't rain much at all here, even during the rainy season, which is supposed to be right now. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. We have one more exciting hike in Tenerife to Barranco del Infierno, which is a waterfall in the canyon. So stay tuned for those adventures, and for now, stay healthy and stay adventurous.